Imagine you are standing in the middle of a heavy downpour. You have no umbrella, no raincoat, and the nearest shelter is a mile away. You are already soaked to the bone. In this moment, you have two distinct internal options. The first person stands there, shoulders slumped, head down, muttering about how they always have the worst luck, how the weather is out to get them, and how their entire week is now ruined. They feel a heavy, bitter weight in their chest. They have given up. The second person looks at the sky, feels the water on their skin, and says, "It is raining, and I am wet." They don't like it. They didn't plan for it, but they stop fighting the reality of the clouds. Immediately, their mind clears. The first person is in resignation. The second person is in acceptance. If you confuse these two states of mind, you might think you are letting go, when, in reality, you are simply burying your pain deeper. Understanding the difference is the difference between staying stuck in a dark room and finally finding the door. Resignation is often mistaken for peace because, on the surface, it looks quiet. It looks like you've stopped complaining. You might say things like, "It is what it is," or "I guess this is just my life now." But if you listen closely to the tone of those words, there is a lingering shadow of resentment. Resignation is passive. It is the act of giving up from a place of hopelessness. When you are resigned to a situation, whether it's a dead-end job, a difficult relationship, or a health struggle, you are essentially telling yourself that you are a victim. You believe that the world is more powerful than you are, and since you can't win, you'll just stop trying. This state of mind is incredibly draining. It feels like a physical weight on your shoulders or a dull ache in your heart. In resignation, you are still holding on to the idea that things should be different, but you've decided that they won't be. You are still judging the situation as bad, but you've lost the energy to fight it. This creates a state of internal stagnation. Because you are viewing yourself as a victim, you lose your power to change the things you actually can control. While resignation might feel like a temporary relief from the exhaustion of fighting, it is a false surrender. It's like a prisoner who stops trying to escape, not because they are free, but because they've decided the walls are too thick. The walls are still there, and the prisoner is still trapped. When we move from that heavy feeling into the space of true acceptance, the atmosphere changes entirely. Acceptance is not passive. It is a deeply active and courageous state of mind. To accept something means to see it exactly as it is, without adding a story to it. If resignation says, "I'm stuck in this terrible job and I'll never get out," acceptance simply says, "I am currently employed at this company." Do you feel the difference? The first version is heavy with judgment and future projection. The second version is a neutral statement of fact. Acceptance is the act of stripping away the labels we put on our life. We stop calling things disastrous, unfair, or hopeless, and we start seeing them as current reality. The most beautiful thing about acceptance is that it provides a foundation for real change. You cannot truly change a situation until you accept that it exists. Think of a navigator trying to find a route on a map. If they refuse to accept their current location because they hate being there, they can never plot a course to where they want to go. They will spend all their time staring at the map and crying about how they should be 10 miles further north. Acceptance is the moment you put your finger on the map and say, I am here. Once you do that, the path forward becomes visible. If acceptance is so much better than resignation, why do we find it so hard to do? Why does our mind cling to that bitter, resigned feeling instead? It's because our ego has a massive misunderstanding. The ego believes that if we accept a bad situation, we are agreeing with it or approving of it. We fear that if we accept our grief, we are saying it's okay that we lost someone. We fear that if we accept our financial struggles, we are signing a contract to stay poor forever. This is a fundamental mistake. Acceptance is not approval. You can accept that you have a broken leg without liking the fact that it's broken. You can accept that a relationship has ended without thinking it was a good thing that it ended. Acceptance is simply the cessation of inner war. It is the moment you stop shouting at reality and saying, "You shouldn't be happening." When you stop that internal shouting, you save an enormous amount of energy. That energy can then be used for healing, for creativity, or for taking the next logical step in your life. Resignation closes doors. Acceptance opens them. How do you know which one you are experiencing right now? You can use a simple bitter taste test. Look at the thing you are trying to let go of. Notice the thoughts that arise. If your thoughts are followed by a but, or a why me, or a feeling of being done for, you are likely in resignation. Resignation has a bitter, cold taste. It leaves you feeling small and powerless. Acceptance, however, has a clean taste. It might feel sad. Acceptance of loss often involves deep tears, but those tears feel like a release rather than a drowning. Acceptance feels light. Even if the situation is difficult, there is a sense of spaciousness around it. You feel like you have room to breathe again. Another key difference is how you view the future. In resignation, the future looks like more of the same pain. In acceptance, the future is an open question. Because you have accepted the now, you are no longer projecting your past pain onto what comes next. You are standing in the present moment, clear-eyed and ready. So, how do we move from the heavy no of resignation to the powerful yes of acceptance? The shift starts with the body. When we are resigned, our bodies are usually tense and collapsed. When we practice acceptance, we learn to soften. Start by noticing where you are tightening against your reality. Are your jaws clenched? Is your stomach in a knot? Try to breathe into that tightness and say to yourself, "For right now, this is what is." Don't try to accept the rest of your life. Don't try to accept next week. Just accept this one breath and this one situation as it exists in this exact second. If you are feeling lonely, stop trying to fix the loneliness for a moment. Stop telling yourself you'll be alone forever. Instead, just say, "In this moment, the feeling of loneliness is present." When you name the feeling without judging it, the victim identity begins to dissolve. You are no longer the lonely person. You are the consciousness that is observing the feeling of loneliness. This shift in perspective is the heart of the letting go path. As we come to the end of this session, remember that acceptance is the starting line, not the finish line. People often worry that if they accept their flaws or their current hardships, they will become lazy and never improve. In fact, the opposite is true. Most people fail to change because they are too busy hating their current self. That hate is a form of resignation, a belief that they are fundamentally bad and must fight themselves to be good. When you accept yourself exactly as you are, with all your mistakes, your fears, and your current baggage, you finally have a stable place to stand. From that place of stability, growth happens naturally. It's like a seed. A seed doesn't fight the dirt it's buried in. It accepts the dirt, uses it as nourishment, and pushes upward toward the light. Today, look at one thing in your life that you've been putting up with or feeling resigned about. Strip away the story. Remove the shoulds and the whys. Look at it clearly and say, this is what is happening right now. Notice the subtle shift in your chest. Notice the way the air feels a little easier to breathe. You aren't giving up. You are finally, truly waking up to the power of the present moment. This is where your new life begins.